Hello, everyone. Welcome to Awaken Your Freedom Show. Please subscribe to support our growing community. We've got some really compelling material in front of us today, stuff that really challenges that typical image we have in our heads about what wealth truly means. It's way more than just, the zeros in a bank balance.
It really is. Today, we're taking a deep dive into a framework from Sahil Bloom, specifically his ideas around the 5 types of wealth, which I think he also calls the 5 pillars of wealth.
Right, the 5 pillars.
Yeah, it's a really fresh way to look at, well, building a rich life.
And our goal with this deep dive, pulling just from this material, is to fully explore this framework. We want to look beyond just the financial measures,
Exactly.
and uncover a more, I guess, comprehensive definition of a life rich in different kinds of value.
That's right. The core idea presented in the source material is that our traditional view of wealth might just be too limited,
Here.
way too narrow. This framework is offered as a kind of wake-up call, suggesting a broader perspective on living a truly full life. And honestly, once you start thinking about wealth this way, well, it's hard not to see it everywhere.
Okay, I'm definitely ready to unpack this.
Yeah.
So this framework suggests there are 5 distinct types or pillars that support a rich life. Where do we start? Which one's first?
Well, the first one, and you could argue it's the foundation for everything else, is physical wealth.
Physical wealth. Okay, that makes sense. It's about your energy levels, right? Your resilience. That basic physical capacity that sort of fuels everything else you do.
Exactly. And the point made here is, well, it's crucial. You can have immense financial wealth, but if your body isn't functioning, if it can't keep up, that wealth has pretty limited utility.
True.
It's not just about being, like, generally healthy, it's about resilience. The material uses that powerful example of David Goggins,
Oh, yeah, Goggins.
pushing his physical limits. And it wasn't just for sport, right? It was about fundamentally reclaiming and owning his life. That's building physical wealth.
And what really stands out from the source on the practical side is this idea that improving things like your sleep, your diet, movement, it isn't just about feeling a little better. It's presented as a way to actually increase your energy per hour. You're not just adding hours to your day. You're adding life and capacity to those hours. A different way to think about it.
And this leads to a key takeaway emphasized in the material. Your health is like a hidden form of income.
Hidden income, I like that.
Yeah. It's something you absolutely shouldn't compromise or, trade away for purely financial gain. Instead, you should actively build it, almost like you're depositing into a health bank account.
Makes sense.
So thinking about your own life, the material prompts the question, are you currently rich in physical health?
Okay, good question to sit with. Let's shift to the next pillar then. Intellectual wealth.
Right.
This is about the power of your mind, what you know, and your ongoing capacity to learn. The source aptly describes it as the compound interest of ideas.
And the beauty of this, according to the material, is that intellectual wealth truly compounds over time, year after year. And unlike other forms, it's something absolutely no one can ever take from you. It's yours.
Yeah, that's powerful. The source provides fantastic examples here. You've got Warren Buffett dedicating hours every single day to reading.
5 to 6 hours.
5 to 6. Then Naval Ravikant's advice, read what you love until you love to read, which I think is great advice. And Elon Musk essentially teaching himself complex fields like rocket science. These are real-world illustrations of actively cultivating that intellectual wealth.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the material points to people like, say, Tim Ferriss or Sahil Bloom himself, showing how learning isn't just for acquiring knowledge, it's for creating leverage.
Leverage, okay.
You turn ideas into books, businesses, podcasts, platforms. The idea is that your developed intellect becomes your ultimate unfair advantage.
Your ultimate unfair advantage. So the powerful insight here, based on the source, is that every piece of knowledge you gain, every skill you pick up, every new idea you explore, it's like planting seeds.
Exactly, a little seed.
You're encouraged to focus on growing this intellectual forest over the long term and not get distracted by, short-term trends or quick hits.
Right.
So what about you listening? Are you actively learning something new this month, planting those seeds?
Okay, moving on to the third pillar, emotional wealth.
Emotional wealth. This one feels deep. The source calls this the hidden currency. It's that underlying feeling of peace and contentment with yourself. It poses a powerful, maybe even uncomfortable question. Have you encountered someone who, by all external measures, has it all, the money, the success, but is clearly deeply unhappy or anxious inside.
Yeah, we've all seen that, probably.
Under this framework, they might be considered emotionally,
Yeah.
well, bankrupt.
Right. This material defines emotional wealth as inner peace, inner stillness. It shares this poignant example of someone who achieved significant career success, climbed the ladder, but lived every single day with anxiety and dread.
Wow.
The lesson there is stark. External achievement without internal alignment or peace. It's just a recipe for burnout and dissatisfaction.
And the material doesn't shy away from the raw truth here. It says you can't out-earn a struggling inner state. You can't just outwork unresolved emotional pain or trauma.
Nope. Sort that way.
Building this wealth is presented as requiring deliberate inner work, things like, well, therapy, seeking solitude, practicing forgiveness, setting healthy boundaries, real work.
And an important spark from the source is that real freedom isn't just external, it's found in emotional control. But not control like suppression, right?
Right.
It's not about burying or ignoring your feelings, but about acknowledging them, owning them, processing them. It makes you wonder, are you emotionally at peace right now? Truly.
Okay, pillar number 4 is social wealth. This is where the focus shifts from the individual inward to the connections outward.
The relationship.
It's about relationships, trust, your reputation. The material boils it down pretty simply. Who you have being as important, maybe more important than what you have.
And the material drives this point home with a sharp hypothetical question. If you were to lose all your financial resources tomorrow, wiped out, who are the people who would actually show up for you? No questions asked, just there.
Right.
That network, that support system, that's your real social net worth.
That really puts it in perspective. The source includes Sahil Bloom's own incredibly personal story here. He describes the moment his son was born.
Yeah, that was powerful.
And this profound realization just hit him. What truly mattered wasn't, online metrics or fleeting connections.
Yeah.
But the people you would bleed for and who would bleed for you. That really illustrates the depth and importance of social wealth.
And this framework highlights a common modern disconnect, doesn't it? People pouring energy into gaining online followers, chasing that external validation.
Yeah, the numbers game.
While sometimes, maybe often, neglecting the vital connections with friends and family right in front of them. The powerful prompt here is to flip the script. Prioritize building deep, meaningful relationships over just chasing broad, superficial reach.
So it makes you ask yourself, are you actively working on deepening your key relationships? Not just maintaining, but deepening.
Here's a question.
And finally, we come to pillar number 5, financial wealth. Now, the material doesn't pretend this isn't important. Of course it is.
Right, it acknowledges it.
It acknowledges that money absolutely provides optionality. It can buy back your time. It offers leverage.
Yeah.
All true.
But here's the absolutely critical point made in the source, and it's key. Financial wealth is presented explicitly as a tool. Just a tool. It's never the ultimate destination itself.
Tool, not the destination. Got it.
That's the core message there.
And the source shares a powerful case study to illustrate this distinction. It asks you to imagine someone earning, say, $500,000 a year. Big income.
Sounds great on paper.
But their lifestyle costs so much, they're constantly stressed, maybe tied to a job they dislike, and using basically every cent just to maintain it. Now compare that to someone making, say, $80,000 a year.
Much less.
Much less. But they live below their means, they invest wisely, and crucially, they have the freedom to take months off for personal projects or travel, because their financial life is designed for freedom, not just consumption.
Exactly. The material clarifies that true financial wealth isn't measured solely by your income number. It's measured by the degree of freedom and optionality it actually affords you.
That's the real measure.
And the disruptive truth offered is this. If your financial life isn't consciously structured around your deeply held values, you might just be building what are essentially golden handcuffs.
Golden handcuffs.
Yeah. Accumulating money, yes, but maybe at the cost of your actual freedom, your time, your peace. It leads directly to the question. Are you using money as a tool in your life? Or are you, maybe without realizing it, letting it dictate and use you?
Wow. Okay, bringing all 5 pillars together, the message from this framework is, well, it feels kind of transformative, really.
Yeah.
Because it offers this truly holistic view of what a rich life actually entails.
It really does broaden the definition.
And the point isn't that you need to, max out or achieve peak levels in all 5 areas simultaneously. That's probably impossible.
Probably.
But that recognizing and actively building across these different dimensions, That's how you measure what matters in your life according to the source.
And the material includes a clear call to action for you, the listener, to reflect on these pillars. It really urges you to ask yourself those core questions we touched on for each one. Am I rich in health? Am I actively learning? Am I emotionally at peace? Am I deepening my relationships? And am I using money intentionally, or is it controlling me?
Mhm.
This framework really concludes by redefining wealth for today, doesn't it? Suggesting that in, 2025 and beyond, it's less about hitting numerical goals or accumulating assets just for their own sake,
Right. Less about the scorecard.
and more about cultivating meaning, fostering personal growth, and building genuine sovereignty over your time and your life choices. Real control.
And the final, very thought-provoking idea this material leaves us with to consider is this. Real wealth isn't found in what you display or, flex online.
Yeah.
It's found in what provides stability, what holds you steady when everything else falls away. That's the real foundation. And with that very powerful thought, our deep dive into this framework comes to a close for today.
To close, please don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, or Spotify, to stay sharp and never miss a drop of knowledge that could change your financial life.
Thank you.